It was around 1 to 2 a.m. I sat in my study room, sweaty as hell from the hot environment I was in, and I was writing a Chinese essay in the middle of the night. I had spent at least 2 hours on this one essay, and I still had not finished the first paragraph. My grandma realized I was still awake, and she came out of her room with sheer worry and anxiety in her eyes to ask if I was almost done with my work. I felt so guilty that she had to stay awake so late just because she was worried about me. So I told her that I was almost done with my essay and pleaded for her to just go to sleep now. At that moment, she started to complain about the education system, about how my teachers are putting too much work and expectations on our youth, and she expressed that she was sorry that I had to work this hard. I got even more guilty because I knew the actual reason that I was up this late. A few hours ago, I just came back home from school. I knew I had this Chinese essay, this one difficult task that was due like tomorrow, and I knew I had to like start right now if I wanted to have any chance of finishing it by today. And so what did I do? I started scrolling on YouTube Shorts. After finally getting myself out of the dopamine loop of short form content after like an hour or so, I finally sat down on my chair in my study room. Like I said, I knew I had to start the Chinese essay now, before anything else. But instead of getting some foolscap paper out of my bag and doing the hard work, I booted up my laptop and started doing some other irrelevant task that wasn't even urgent. I checked my messages, my email. I scrolled through random stuff on my Google Drive, going through random websites thinking that I was being productive. And before I knew it, hours passed and I still hadn't started on my essay. Many of us students find it hard to do the difficult task first, which actually requires like focus, and they like to push it off to a few hours later or the next day while working on easier, unimportant tasks that frankly don't even require much focus or brain power, or even worse, they just don't do anything productive at all. And as a result of this, they end up having to stay up extremely late, sacrificing their sleep and health just to finish the hard tasks when they've already wasted most of their brain power on the insignificant tasks. And most of the time, they just don't end up finishing the task at all. If you struggle with this problem, keep watching. I'm gonna tell you 2 ways to stop procrastinating on doing the hard work for the day. Strategy number 1: create a habit of eating the frog. Imagine you are going to like a high-end restaurant with really good food to have dinner there, and you're like very excited about it, but suddenly you're told that you have to eat a frog, a live, actual, disgusting, slimy frog, alongside the food that you ordered. No loopholes, no running away. You're like held at gunpoint to eat this frog. You have 2 choices: eat the frog before the delicious meal, or eat the frog after. So let's weigh our choices here. If you eat the frog after the meal, you will not even be able to enjoy the meal itself, because you will constantly be anxious and neurotic about thinking, oh crap, I have to eat this literal frog after. And when you finish your meal, you'll be faced with this horrible, difficult thing that you have to do. And even after that, the disgusting taste of the frog will stay in your mouth for quite some time. But what if you eat the frog before the meal? Okay, so you discipline yourself, quickly finish the frog, and suddenly the most difficult thing you had to do is just gone. You're now kind of in this relaxed, kind of joyful state of mind because what lies in front of you is a delicious meal which you can finally enjoy in peace. And this meal also kind of cleanses your palate so you don't have the disgusting taste of the frog left in your mouth anymore. Now, eating the frog before the meal sounds like the superior option, right? But you are choosing to eat the frog after the meal every single day. You see, this frog refers to that one hard task that you have to do every day, the hardest task of the day, basically. And you know that you constantly push this task to a later hour or a later date, delaying the hard work, which causes you to have constant anxiety like crap, I have to do this thing later, I have to do this Chinese essay later, which screws up your mental health. So why not choose to do that task first thing in the morning or like the afternoon after school? So for the rest of the day, you're just left with easy tasks and you can have this like happy, joyful state of mind like, wow, I don't have to do that crap again and actually enjoy the rest of your day. In fact, why not we make this a daily habit? So your actionable step is to incorporate two things into your daily routine. First one, in the early morning or as soon as you have time to do work after school, add in a eat the frog period of work, which can be like around 1 hour or so. And in this 1 hour, you only focus on the most difficult task of the day and make sure you finish it. Some extra advice on weekends or any day without school, try to do this frog task first thing in the morning, like after you wake up, before you even eat breakfast. I've done it myself many times and it feels so good knowing that you've basically done like 50 to 80% of the hard work for the day before breakfast. Second thing, towards the end of the day, like before you sleep, set aside just 2 to 3 minutes to decide on what the most difficult task, the eat the frog task, would be for the next day. You can write it on a post-it note or an online document or whatever. And when the next day comes, you need to spend the 1 hour or however long period just doing this one task that your past self set for you. Non-negotiable, you cannot change it. Strategy 2, change your environment. I want you to answer this question right now honestly. Where do you usually do most of your work? Like your studying and your homework or whatever? In which area do you mostly do it? Maybe you do it in your bedroom or some other room you have in your house. Now, I want you to be very honest here. What else do you do in that same area? Maybe you binge YouTube on Netflix, scroll on short form content, look at websites you're not supposed to be looking at. If it's true that you do all your bad habits in the same area where you study, you probably shouldn't expect to feel motivated and driven to do the hard task when you are in the same area. Okay, if you usually only do productive things in that area, then fine. But if not, whenever you enter these areas, your brain will be conditioned to do the bad habits instead of the hard work. In a way, these places have become like an unproductive zone for you. So what you can do is try to find your productive zones, the places where you only do the hard work. And if you don't have any of these productive zones, just find a new place to become your productive zone. One strategy that helped me a lot with procrastination was that I just brought my bag, went outside my house to like a study area or a library nearby, and just started doing my work there. And on school days, I just stayed back at school to finish my work. You're not gonna be scrolling on social media when you enter this atmosphere where everyone else is mugging and doing the hard work. So an actionable step right now is to just think about what places are your unproductive zones and what places can be your productive zones. And you can plan it into your routine to purposefully go to these productive zones and actively avoid your unproductive zones when you want to do the hard work for the day. I hope you found this video helpful. Please give me any criticism and feedback in the comments, and I wish you a good day.